Oh, the places we will go. We are about to take a journey together. We're going to take many, actually, each episode is going to be one. And we will be coming up and taking some trips this fall. But today is going to be a mental journey where we are going to be exploring some information. Spirit has had me on lockdown. And I've been downloading and channeling a lot of information. As you well know, I love me some Neville, and it got me started on a journey that is pretty amazing, and I want to share my discoveries with you. So welcome back to my Neville Nation, my Law of Assumption Journey members, and my fellow time travelers. Yes, you heard me right, and I want to share with you that time travel, with traveling between timelines, we are actually doing a time travel. Yes, it's as they have explained in quantum physics, time is not linear at all like we perceive it. It's traveling between timelines. So let's get into this, because those timelines where all your goodies, where all your stuff is, we're going to explore how we can get the goods and what that means to you. So buckle up, because we are going to get into it. So if you have been following me, and welcome, I'm so glad to have you here today. If we came across each other in the YouTube algorithm, you are ready for this. We're quantum entangling anyway. Each channel is a portal, and there's something in our vibrations that click today, and so you're ready for what I'm going to share and channel. And so if those of you, so welcome. And so those of you who've been following me for a while, yes, I had to take a break. Spirit had me on lockdown, baby. Whereas I wanted to be doing, and we all know there's a difference between, creation is finished with Neville Goddard, and so follow inspired action. But sometimes action means non-action, and that's what Spirit's been putting me through, is putting me on lockdown, to understand that when we're going within, that creation is finished, that all we have to do is receive and align to those timelines. And we're going to talk more about that. We're going to dive deeply into it, but in a fun way. Because Neville girl, she loves to go deep, but also I like to make it, normalize it. That's part of what my channel purpose is to normalize it, because we are manifesting 24/7. If you didn't know that, if you're new, if you're questioning and wondering, we do. We manifest. The whole point is, now that consciousness is growing and explore, it's gone beyond like the Neville Goddards. He was my greatest inspiration in so many ways, because before, when it was the law of attraction, let's just say this, when I first wanted to know how to manifest, how to get my goods, right? I got into law of attraction, The Secret, and I was certified as a life coach with Abraham Hicks, right? Well, that helped me understand, right? This Neville book, I will never get over this collection. I'm still, it's still in the first chapter, because there's so much with your faith is your fortune. So cannot say enough. We'll get into it at some point. But anyway, when I came across the law of attraction and all those things, as many of us have, I'm sure my story, as I've been sharing little bits, will resonate. But then I came across Neville. And when I came across Neville and a few other things, I started to understand. It went into my mind. I started to understand. And then as I really explored Neville Goddard and some of the other greats from that time too, and then really started to see how a lot of quantum physics now explains all that, now I finally started to understand. Okay, so that's also another part of what this channel is about, because we've come too far. There was a point where we all understood, but understanding is under the information. Understanding is that it's really going in, and we're starting to really be the creators of our own reality, right? Overstanding is how to master this. And so those are the things I've been channeling about, because when I first started this channel, I think many of you know, if you've been from the very beginning, and I'm still a smaller channel because I've had to take breaks that Spirit keeps putting me on, I thought it was here not to coach, more like a demonstration channel, more like, you know, I go into the matrix, I get some information, I do my experiments on how to manifest, you know, come back and explain how I did, what I created, so on and so forth. But now I've started to realize that when I'm not on this channel, I've discovered that I have been downloading so much, and my schedule has had me on delay. So I'm always downloading when I'm getting ready in the morning, and I'm writing notes, and I didn't realize that that really is the purpose. Like, my goal was never to sell coaching packages, etc., but to share the information and to share actually what I'm downloading. It turns out I'm a natural channeler in general, and I think we all are, but I have had a life experience where it's really been cultivated in my life. So I want to share the things I've been downloading and what that means to you. So let's get into these timeline things and talk about what we have now, or what I've started to now understand. Because I want you to understand those words, because we're going to be using those more along with the timelines. So I've been bringing you along, but if you wondered where I've been, that's where I've been. And I have to also share that there is a subscriber A. You will get to know a little bit about subscriber A. Subscriber A asked me wrote me a little message on one of my videos quite a while back asking advice on how to manifest something. And subscriber A, I must say, I responded. I created a video that I'm going to be posting for everybody so everybody can kind of learn from the video. But I did it like 2 months ago, and I apologize it took so long, but as soon as I did that video, I wanted to back it up with this video and the video I'm going to do after. For those of you, if you've enjoyed this content, move on to video 2 of this series. Will be for subscriber A, but it's how I approach all manifesting on any topic. It's just that it's geared more specifically towards subscriber A, and then we're going to go into a part 3. So stay tuned. So we went over understanding, understanding, now overstanding, right? And so I wanted to approach this topic about the timelines. Like, we've talked about the timelines before. I've been bringing you along as I've been discovering. So, but I wanted to remind you of the movies back in the day. So when I say time travel, I'm not talking about like Back to the Future. I mean, I think as our collective consciousness evolves, that might become a thing. And there was also some other cool movies, like back in the day there was also the Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeves. But more what I'm thinking of, and if you're curious, there was a movie back in the day that really caught my attention, and now I know why, because I feel like our different timelines are always speaking to us. They're always trying to give us information, even if we don't know that timelines exist. And that's what I started to realize. But there was a movie from 2006 called Deja Vu, and it had Denzel Washington and who I thought was Halle Berry. It's not Halle Berry, but someone similar looking, beautiful gal. But it's about timelines collapsing in the quantum field, and quantum entanglement, and just some possibilities. It's a cool movie. It's actually kind of like a, I don't want to say murder mystery, but it has a lot of things that they're trying to solve. Let's say a crime or a situation, and timelines start collapsing. So that's what I mean by time travelers, because we are actually, we're always jumping timelines. And I know we started to talk about this before. So if you're new, I'll kind of bring you up to speed. But when I started to realize between Neville Goddard, which he didn't use those scientific terms of like quantum physics, that wasn't really so much a thing. It was cutting edge. They were maybe starting to explore those concepts. But every thought is an affirmation. It's a vibration and a frequency, everyone. And so those have a timeline in the quantum field of possibilities. And so we've talked about it before on topics like a car, but let's say this is just you. It's not even car, it's you. There's the version of you that has everything you could have possibly imagined you wanted as of right now, the version of you. Like, it has all your goodies right here. And say you're starting here. So that would have been like back when I was trying to study the law of attraction, the secret, so on and so forth. Each time I started to realize I was starting to understand things. I'm manifesting my comprehension. I'm getting closer. But every thought is a timeline in the field of possibilities on every topic. And we are jumping from moment to moment. It's just that moment to moment as we are thinking about things, it's a very similar to the previous thought. So it doesn't look or feel any different. So when people talk about quantum jumping from timelines, it's because we are now starting to jump, make a bigger gap between. So it's like going, like we're starting to think from doing, let's say, sats, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but you're going in your sats, you're coming to your goodies timeline, and then you're starting to have new thoughts. You're bridging the gap. You're starting to have new thoughts. You're starting to channel that version of you. You're starting to have a relationship with a version of you that has all the goodies, your preferred timeline according to where you think you want to be. And so now, as you're spending more time in Sats and you're getting to know that version, you're going to be collapsing timelines. You're blurring the lines. And so as we do that, as we go into our stats, which was Neville Goddard's cornerstone, I want to say technique, if that's what you call it. I'm really kind of anti the word technique anymore, although if they're just permission slips, as Bashar would say, to get us into a vibration. So whatever gets you into that vibration, but stats gets you into the vibration. It gets you building a relationship with that version of you that has all your goodies. And you start to know what it feels like to live in that life. You start to know what that version of you is thinking at times. And I started to realize that it bleeds over, because there will be times where, when Neville said, take inspired action, what do you think that really meant? To me, as I've started to really learn and understand, and as I've spent time on my preferred timeline that I'm collapsing lines with, so to speak, is that all of a sudden you'll have a new thought. That new thought, it's an inspired action. It may not be huge. It may be like you just turn left at a stoplight instead of a right, or that you want to go run an errand that you have never thought of doing at this time or in this way or at that place. But those, you are literally channeling and downloading the version of you. That means you have traveled enough and spent enough time in that timeline that you are starting to blur the lines. You are them, they are you, and it's collapsing because you're becoming one. I don't think I could say it any better, but we'll have other words as we go along. But that's the deal, guys. So sometimes, and so I've seen so many channels talk about this, and I believe it was a Florence Scovel Shin, but no, that was Birds Before Land. But it's that the Bridge of Incidents, that is Neville. Okay, had to think about this for a second. So, but Bridge of Incidents, right? So signs follow, they don't proceed. And so when people are like looking for their stuff, it's not so much about the stuff. Let's take the stuff out of the conversation for the moment. Yes, your stuff is there on that timeline if we're going to break it down in a way that our mental minds can understand it right now in consciousness. But it's becoming the version of you that has the stuff. That version of you, when you have become it, has the stuff. Yeah, they have the stuff. So no worries there. Do not fret, it's there. So it's a matter of your vibration and following that, like I said, the inspirations. And so I haven't had inspirations for a while, except for just channeling and downloading, and so much that I wanted to share with you. So I've been practicing non-action, and Sats, it looks like you're not doing much, right? You know, you're lying down to go to sleep at night, your state akin to sleep, you're doing your visioning, but when you envision and when you really experience all of that with your eyes closed, it feels so real, you are time traveling. You are traveling to another version of you in the field of quantum possibilities, and on that timeline, you're building a relationship, and it's one that's always existed. That's why Neville said, creation is finished. Why is it finished? Why do they say it that way? I loved discovering this. It's always been there. You know, have you ever been the child, like if we are connecting, and we're going to start to talk more about you and less about me, but we manifested each other. We're each other's creation. Everyone is ourselves pushed out. So you manifested me, I manifested you, and we're quantum entangling here. So with that timeline, have you ever been the kid, tell me, that you always knew you were destined for a certain lifestyle? You were destined for something specific, even if you didn't know what, you could just feel it, that there was a purpose, there was a meaning, you were attracted to a certain geography, a certain language, a certain culture, a certain lifestyle, right? That is literally the version of you that has been connecting with you at some points. So because creation is finished. That version of you has always been, and everything is happening now as well. So that version of you has always been somehow letting you know. You can't want something, my friends. You cannot want something without it existing. Like it wants you as much as you want it. Because you can't even think of having or wanting or doing or being without it being a version of you already in the quantum field of possibilities that has that thing. So when Neville said creation is finished, your stuff is there. It is there. It is finished. And it's a matter of you recognizing that and becoming so familiar with that timeline, with that version of you. And you know, I love my B channels. Like anybody who's been following me for a little bit, I started to realize I came across the B, like just, you know, decide, choose, be. Because that's part of it. When you really know, ask yourself, if you really know, when you finally come across and you're like, oh, that is really the thing that's always been in my heart. That's a yearning, and it could be just a car, but imagine the person who has that dream car. You know, they could have won it. It's a possibility. We're not saying how God, source, spirit, universe is going to deliver it, and it's really not delivering either. It's alignment. You are aligning to that version. But God, source, spirit still has the timing. It still knows when is the perfect timing for that. But who is that version? That version, okay, say you even won the car, right? That version would need a place to put it, and it could provide that as part of the alignment manifestation, but it's like the payment for it and so on and so forth. So source knows how to figure all that out. The quantum field knows how to figure that out because it exists. Okay, but it's still a version of you. There's still things that have to come into play because it has to have a certain lifestyle to pay for the insurance. Where are you parking it? Do you have a garage? Do you have the right neighborhood? So on and so forth, like those details. And we don't have to figure that out. Well, my point is, and what I'm trying to point out to you, is that version of you has to have the ability to enjoy it, take care of it. And so it's a version of you. Think about it. So instead of asking yourself, and that's what I started to ask, is like, okay, instead of my stuff, who is that person? So if I've decided that I know, because there's a version of me that has that, because I would love that. So I know, I'm aware, creation is finished. The stuff is out there in the quantum field of possibilities. It wants me as much as I want it. I choose it, right? And then I'm going to be it. I'm going to start to be that person. But when I heard all those channels and I came across it and it made sense, but only made sense once I spent a ton of time on that timeline. Now, maybe others, it doesn't work like that for them. I don't know. I'm sharing what's working for me, what I'm channeling, and what I've experienced. And so when I've experienced spending time, and it doesn't have to be sats. It could be emotion, a feeling that comes over you, that you just have it, and you know it, and you are delulu as all get out. You know, but it's one of those two or both. But it's knowing that that version of you has your stuff. So for me, when I spend time on the timeline, and it can be just like a daydream in the afternoon, you know, like close your eyes. It could be something in audio I'm listening to. You guys know, if you've been following me, I love my subliminals, and it's a thought. So you got to think about what you're thinking about. We do not have the luxury of any thoughts at all, because we want our Barbados. Like when Neville was able to manifest and do his Barbados thing, he had to be in Barbados. He was all in. He didn't have the luxury of thinking, and he did question. He was like, what if I don't? He was asking his rabbi, you know, like, what if I can't, or what if I don't? And the rabbi just slammed the door saying, you are in Barbados. So when you know that you've chosen, you've selected, you know what that quantum timeline looks like, you be the timeline. But then it's also detachment, because you drop it. You just know that it's happened. You know that creation is finished. And as Mary Morrissey would say, it is all worked out. What is that feeling? Like, just close your eyes. What does that feel like if you knew someone said to you, like, wow, it all worked out. Now tell me about it, right? It's that feeling. So it's the things that tap you into that. Like I will repeat again, Bashar would say they're all permission slips, but whatever gets you to that vibration, that alignment. But realize we've always been manifesting, we've always been choosing timelines. It's just that now we are do it specifically. We're being conscious creators, and we are using our minds and our spiritual abilities, I guess I would almost say, because we are part of a collective conscious. You know, there is the matrix out there that has taught us invertedly everything so that we could not know how powerful we are. So my friends, you are powerful. We are powerful, and we were never taught this. We could guess it. We could feel it in our gut. We knew we were great. We were meant for so much more. I know you felt it. If you found me here, you know you felt it. So if you're enjoying this content, subscribe so we can do more of these, because as time permits, I'm going to be restructuring some more things. I will be doing more. I want to do lives because I feel like my calling really is to channel a lot of the information in more of that format. I do have to write notes because it comes to me throughout the week. So my fellow time travelers, my timeline jumpers, which we all do, but we jump timelines that are so similar, it doesn't feel like it. But I know many of you have had a glitch before. You've seen some changes. You've manifested some stuff, which is really just aligned to some stuff. You did that by a jump on that topic. So we are time travelers. We are time jumping. And those of us who are putting conscious effort into our creations and knowing, so it's like you go beyond wanting, deciding, you got to go to knowing. And the only way you can really know is spend time in that feeling. That's the persistence that I first opened up with, like persist. You persist with that knowing, because we can't know the actual moment that God, source, spirit, the quantum field is going to collapse and there's all your goodies. But we can be that version and watch it all unfold. Even if it's just wake up. I've just woken up to stuff and I wasn't even expecting it. I wasn't looking for it. I was just like, I don't even know if this stuff works the way I heard it. Because I think it's a little different for everybody else. It's a lock and key as far as what gets you there vibrationally to align to that version of you on that timeline, that version that has all your goodies. And that's why I fell in love with Neville. That's when so much came flooding into my world. I'm sure it's happened to many of you. And so subscriber A, I want to jump back to you before we just wrap things up for today by saying all these things, your version of you that is looking for your topic that we were discussing on the next video, that is a version of you who has it. And so I'm hoping you can translate that, because the same thing someone would be asking about their sports car or their $1 million, but who is that version? And so it'll make sense to watch your video, subscriber A. And if any of you guys have questions, the answers will be quite similar in a lot of ways. I can customize. When subscriber A reached out and mentioned it, what I would love is for you guys to jump on over to my IG channel, neville.girl.forever, and that is the best place. I'm not super active yet. I do post content here and there, and there will be more in the future, but when that is the perfect place to DM me if you have a question. You can always post it here in the comments as well. I'm open, but that's a great place to where I will notice it in case I miss it. So many people just say, go and have fun. I say, I agree with that too, wholeheartedly. When I've manifested, as you will see, you know, I've manifested so many things over the years. I've traveled throughout Europe, manifested like $1 million chunk of money plus lots of other financial things. I've had some stories, so go back in some of my videos and you will see. And I didn't know how I did it, and that was so frustrating. And that's what really got me so excited about coming across Neville, and then so I could understand, and then now overstanding with the quantum physics and understanding it's just a timeline. It's not magic. It's a state of being. And once you've decided that version that you want, you are the manifestation. You are, like, the signs follow. They don't precede. They follow because you are being it. But I find the easiest way to be it is just doing sats and anything else that gives me that feeling that I can know. I can know whether I can know it for 5 minutes, 5 hours. You know, the longer we can stay in that, that's why I'm in love with staycations. I'm repeating myself in so many ways for those that are new, or just as reminders to many of you who've been following me for a while, because I know I do have to take breaks, and that's why. And it's because I channel and I'm downloading not only from Source Spirit, but I'm also downloading and spending time with different timelines, because that's what it's all about. It's where your goodies are at. And I want my stuff, and I know you do too. And it's here. It is literally here. But our vibration has to be in alignment to experience it. So it behooves you, just be it. But be it like as in like you feel it, you know it. So repeat after me. I am God, Source, Spirit, and I am all that is. And the reason why I'm going to give you this list of a few things to repeat is because throughout the day, and this is a great way to kind of like suspend, like you go have fun, but then you also don't want to have all those resistant thoughts. I was taught a lot of this with Abraham Hicks. Like, everything is seeking us. Everything you could possibly want is wanting you more, because there is somehow an awareness between timelines. You have it on another timeline, and so it wants you as much as you want it, but it's the resistance. It's the negative talk, or just focusing on this timeline, because our thoughts, our chatter in our brain, it's best if we can kind of like not think about the past or not think about the present as much as possible, because you on another timeline might have other thoughts about the past. It's a different version of you, okay? And I don't want to get too much into that right now, but now is now. So these are the things that are the gaps between your thoughts that will benefit you. First of all, try and not think about your stuff right now. just your knowingness, and it put aside your bill, your job. Like, go to your job unless source spirit is guiding you not to, but go to your job, do your things, move through the 3D, but with your 4 and 5D knowing that creation is finished, that it all worked out. It did. It all worked out, but you move through it knowing that it all worked out. There is a version where it all worked out, meaning it always works out, but meaning like the thing that you're thinking about, it's there, okay? So creation is finished. So use these, because in between our thoughts, there is space. Something's itching me, I don't know. There is space in between our thoughts. So try and suspend your thoughts as much as possible. And like I said, repeat after me. I am God, source spirit, and I am all that is. That kind of makes you kind of vibe with the notion of knowing. Also, one of my favorites is I'm ready to be ready. Sometimes I'll just walk around and be like, I'm ready to be ready. And then I'll start to list what I'm ready for. I accept, I deserve, and I allow. I hope you are saying these things and get familiar with them, because you don't have to have the list of affirmations. I know I talked about it before and I still haven't posted my favorites, but you can go to any subliminal channel and just find a video, and underneath they usually have a caption, because they would be for you. But at some point I will post as time permits. But you just say, I accept, I deserve, and I allow. And you can even follow it by saying, for my highest good, like, from my greatest timeline, I accept, I deserve, I allow, from my greatest timeline. So those are great ways to suspend the chatter, because that is part of resistance. And we talk, and I love this one too, plenty. Just the word plenty. Because as you are going through, if you are here following me, we all love and embrace the vibration, knowing of greater wealth, greater success, greater health, more time. And so a very valuable vibrational word is plenty. I kind of channeled that at one point, because I was looking at a few things saying, this is getting low or that. And the spirit was like, And I could say spirit, but also it's my other timeline. My timeline is going, no, you have plenty. I have plenty. Look at how much plenty I have. I still have plenty. And I always do have plenty. I have plenty of time. I'm still working through that one, clearly, or I'd be here all the time talking about and sometimes I have to take breaks because spirit is just pulling me aside, and so is my timeline that I'm working with. But plenty, there's plenty of health. There's plenty of money. There's plenty. I have plenty. Think of all the plenty you have. We have so much plenty. There's so much plenty in the universe, and if you say the word too much, it starts to just become a word, but it's a vibration. So sometimes when I just catch myself and I'm like thinking, why, I don't even know that version. That's another little trick secret that I came across that I love. Sometimes I'll be like spending a good chunk of time on something and I'll be really in my knowing, and then boop, an old thought pops up, that like an older timeline. I was like, whatever it is, a lock-based thought, and I'm like, I don't know you. You're from another timeline. I don't know who that was, because you're always a new you. Just in case no one's told you, you are a new you on every timeline. It's still you. So if I catch an old thought, the easiest way is disassociate myself, because literally, it wasn't me. And I might have mentioned that before, but I want you to know that as you get to know who you are on your preferred timeline, you can clearly go, I don't know where you came from, that thought form, because I don't know you. That isn't me. You must be talking to somebody else. Anyway, that's some of that backbone coming out again. But, I think people can stumble into it and have some luck. I know I have, and I'm sure some of you have as well. Because again, you didn't come across this channel for no reason. But it takes some backbone to go out into the 3D and do your knowingness. Because you have to look at 3D and I basically and say, nah, I don't believe you. No, I don't believe you. I mean, creation is finished. It's all worked out. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And that's kind of the direction we are going with things. So I still want you to create something wonderful, something magical, wherever you are. And I'm still holding a space for you, but now you know what I mean by holding that space. I didn't even know how to explain it before, but if you have come across me, our vibrations, there is something for each of us. We've manifested each other, and I'm anchoring in that version of you that has what you are wanting, or that timeline. So I know that it's all worked out for you. And I know you have created your dream life, and I am showing you how. So until the next time, bye.